Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 249th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. If you are listening to this now, then I don't know what you listened to previously. Man, I've got a new staff I'm bringing on and training, and we got podcast episodes out of order and all kind of stuff, but it's slowly coming together. No pain, no gain. And I got to admit, I've always known I'm not a great manager. I just like stuff to get done. But hey, got to be a product of the product. You know, I've got processes for so many things, but hiring people and training them is not one of them. But we're getting there. The previous episode should have been Peter Watts, and I think we're okay with that. But man, we got number 258. That went live right after number 247, so who knows? You may have listened to Linda Stevens. She was fantastic. Got her professional bodybuilding card in her 40s, launching a business around that, and that's growing. But hearing her story was good. If you listened to Peter Watts before this, he's a friend of mine I've known for years through the Infusionsoft community. Had his wife on as well, Sarah Watts, and a couple years ago, I've met them in person, several times out in Phoenix, but they've been out here to my house and doing a little wine tasting in Temecula. Peter's from Sweden and has built a thriving practice, applying his analytical brain to the marketing side, the soft side, if you will, of sales and marketing, and is building a thriving business out there in Sweden and supporting mostly Swedish clients, but branching into Europe and even into America. So he's got an English version of his site as well. So, just normal people doing abnormal things, and abnormal meaning extraordinary, right? So maybe I say ordinary people doing extraordinary things, getting extraordinary results, not through crazy tactics or gimmicks, but by extraordinary consistency, extraordinary focus and effort, sticking with it. I just had a coaching call this morning with a private client, and we talked about that. She is constantly putting pressure on herself because she thinks she has to come up with new programs, new offers, new things to launch. And I reminded her of, Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated hasn't really changed forever, right? They have a magazine about sports. And once a year, they have a magazine, they have an edition about swimsuits. So the offer doesn't change, okay? At least the main offer. But they'll have different launches. Hey, get a football phone. Get a foam finger. So the bonuses and the goodies change, but the main offer doesn't. So find your sweet spot. And working with her, we came up with three things. One is a very high dollar, very exclusive private coaching program. And maybe there's only 5 people in that program, and maybe it's $5,000, maybe it's $25,000, maybe it's $55,000. Doesn't matter, right? Whatever works for you. I'm just giving examples. But a high dollar, very few people are in that. Then maybe a more affordable, yet still a little bit expensive, private group. Okay, and maybe that's limited, maybe limited to 200 people or 250 people. This is your inner circle. And this is where people have some on-demand training, and then they get some access to you. Maybe it's a weekly call. Maybe it's you bring on guests. Maybe it's a private group, and they get access to you as long as they ask the question through the group. And then you have a super affordable, solely on-demand program. So you got 3 main offers, and then it gives you time to produce other things. Maybe it's other bonuses. Maybe it's free giveaways as lead magnets, but maybe you create other things like the foam finger and the football phone that you release with different launches. But the launch, instead of being a whole new program, it's the same program just with different bonuses. Or it's an evergreen thing, right? If it's a more affordable, the on-demand training, you could run a program, in April for spring or for Easter, or in May for, Memorial Day. You have a Memorial Day sale, and they get, 3 hours of bonus recordings or something that you've never made available before. Okay. So take some of the pressure off of you, right? If your programs are working, if they're in demand, if they're selling, then keep going to that well. We as entrepreneurs, we get bored too quickly and we leave before we've tapped the well completely, which brings up the other point. When do you start to make the shift? When do you begin to diversify? And I say you're always looking, you're always monetizing, you're monitoring your efforts. And then if things start to change, if opt-ins go down, if click-throughs go down, if sales go down, if repeat sales go down, you can see the little nuances if you're always measuring. And then on the flip side, if you're always tweaking, right? Take the main thing that is working, that's your control group, and always be iterating. Make little changes to how it's sold. Make little changes to the verbiage, okay? Then if your new change beats the old performing ad or package, then that becomes the new one, okay? But it's not whole hog. You don't just, you're selling trucks one day and, a week later you're the minivan expert. Have your focus. So you got to stick with it. But, that's where folks like this, like Linda, like Peter, even Mark, taking, Mark Ensign coming from Broadway, right, with his bass playing skills. He took his creative mind, but also his doggedness, his pig-headedness, his determination to create a marketing business. And now he's got a really cool podcast that's come out. You can check out his show notes. Okay, he's on episode 247. But, a lot of cool people doing cool things. But you know what? A lot of them are doing them under the radar. A lot of people, these overnight successes take 5 and 10 years in the making. They're just getting stuff done, slowly working on it. So do you have the passion and the commitment to stick with it even when it's tough? When I was starting the Sales Whisperer in 06 and 07, I didn't have a website, didn't have a merchant account. I was cold calling people, inviting them to a workshop, having them bring me a check, okay, or mailed me a check. So I knew they were really coming. And I stuck with it, right? When I got Infusionsoft, when I got WordPress, I was bad at all of it. Kept with it, stuck with it. One little sale here, $40 a month, $50 a month, $60 a month. Over time, you sell hundreds of those, it builds up into some real money. But are you willing to stick it out? Are you willing to go deep? Are you willing to become an expert and be known for something before you start dancing around, adding new things, adding pressure to yourself while you confuse the market? When the market's confused, they don't buy from you, and it puts more pressure on you. It's just a crazy world. I don't know how I got off on this topic. Who knows? But hey. Several things to mention to you, at least a couple things to start off. I've been talking about the Make Every Sale course, makeeverysale.com. It's the most affordable way to get lifetime input and help and assistance from me with over 41 videos, on-demand templates, spreadsheets, boilerplate contracts you can use, live calls. Everything's recorded. You can go back to the archives, daily interaction through the group. So check it out and enroll now. MakeEverySale.com. And if you need one-on-one help, right now I've got a 90-day package. It's not cheap, but it's not cost prohibitive either. We got a bunch of people on this program, and it's pretty new for me. So to have the number of customers I have so far is really cool. But I'll tell you something, a couple things. Number one is the price won't stay the same, and I will soon have a backlog. So if you want my help, you want my team's help, one-on-one help for 90 days to help you perfect your messaging, your marketing, your systems, then go to bestcrmhelp.com, okay? Lock it in, get the help you need so you can sell more, faster, at higher margin with less stress and more fun. Now let's bring on our guest, Kerry. Kerry Morgan, 21st Century Blueprint, the Blueprint Goddess, all the way from New Jersey. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. Thanks for making some time. I didn't know like East Coasters like hung out with West Coasters. So, like that's like really cool, man. Like totally, you know.
Yes, I totally agree. I'm a Valley girl, so yeah, I think I should have been born out in the West Coast.
I'm a redneck out here with a surfboard saying, what the hell is this stuff? Can you eat it? If I put gravy on it, how does it taste? I mean, that's all I know, all right? So what is happening, huh? How did you become the Blueprint Goddess? What the heck is that all about?
Yeah, so the Blueprint Goddess is the way I intuitively map out people's blueprints for the 21st century. Mm-hmm. So many of us are stuck in the 90s.
Oh, you're an architect. You're an architect.
Yes.
Oh,
well, architect
now I understand.
for life. Yes. So for lifestyles, right, that people dream about and the quality of life, right? When people settle for being miserable and complaining and thinking that's the only way, I give them a new blueprint and let them step into their power or lean into their purpose so that they are living fully in the 21st century. We get stuck with a lot of beliefs about how we're supposed to live, and that's other people's stories. So I give them a fresh start to really show up for their life fully and have an ultimate experience of the person that they want to become.
Very cool. How did you get into that?
So for myself, we've been entrepreneurs and we were running an MMA league, which is a mixed martial arts league.
I was going to ask you, I've been doing a little research. I see you with some tap out guys, big tatted up, bearded dudes, and there you are, like you're choking them out. That's like awesome.
Yeah, so that experience alone, being in an entertainment business, has been a life. It's just been an eye opener.
So you run. Tell me that. All right, we're going sidetrack. I just got back from my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. So for 2 hours, I almost actually choked somebody and got choked a bunch of times. So, all right. So tell me about this. Do you have a business and you promote MMA? Is that what you do?
We did, yes, for 6 years. Yes.
And who's we?
Me and my husband. We did that every 6 weeks in Atlantic City, which is the big casino land in New Jersey by the shore. So we had events down there. And so that experience being in the entertainment business, but we ran them. So we had to get the fighters. We had to obviously promote the event with the casinos. We have a partnership. We had ticket sales, opportunities, fun. Like we created a massive following, right? And being in that situation, it was like the fighter's mindset, right? So what that is when you're just thinking, everyone thinks you're going to lose and you come back and win, right? That's like the goal in life. When you just think all your chips are against you and you push through.
No, everybody bets on me to lose, and they're right. Being a white belt is kind of humbling.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a start, right? You've got to start somewhere. I always say that. It's definitely a purpose. But when having that experience was, mind blowing, just to be around those type of people thinking that they're going to lose the fight and they come back and win. I mean, just those ups and downs and just the way that the fighters think was amazing. And being a business owner, we treated everyone with respect and integrity, and that type of atmosphere, I guess, we were kind of out of the norm, right? Because nice people usually don't do that type of stuff in MMA, so we were family owned. And so we had a little tisk with the state, and that was like they didn't renew our license because they wanted more or less us to follow suit with the way they did things, but we had to stick with our integrity. So that played a big, huge part because this part of our business, this was like our end game. Like we were planning on retiring and everything, but this had the one stream of income, right? We had another business that had multiple streams. So when this was gone, it was just like, okay, no more streams of income coming in, right? So we had to pivot. And so that's when I realized I was just like, I can't do this anymore. It's just like overwhelming all the stuff I was trying to do. So I needed a new blueprint, and I literally went back, healed myself through yoga and training, and I've always been a holistic health coach, but lived that way. I just got certified to teach other people. And that helped me understand what people were really going through and how they needed to get out of the mindset and into the 21st century. Because what we were living, my experience in running an MMA business, having a panic attack and realizing this is just way too much stress for me dealing with everything. So I wanted a different way, and I wanted to teach people and really mentor more. So for me to do that helped me open up this path of experience life on a different realm.
So let me ask you something. So was it stressful running the business, or was it stressful when you got sideways with the state and you had to wind it down?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
So yeah, let me make sure I was clear on that. So it was a little bit of both because I was doing everything, right? Fighters, tickets. My husband just did the fighters, like put the fights together. But I did the tickets. I made sure they were on time. I had to get their paperwork to the state. I mean, and just on and on and on. And it was just like, why am I doing all of these things? But is this really what we kind of fell into it, but was it really what I wanted to do?
Right.
Right. So I think the whole 21st century came to me because it kept saying like, well, what would my day have to look like for me to want to live the life I want?
Right.
Right. So I had to go and reprogram and readjust who I was as a person and really tap into my gift. And my gift is helping people see their potential and their power, their divine power. So, I mean, I really had to just go and repurpose my whole life for about 4 years and just reconnect with who I was. Mm-hmm. And, that's a tough thing to do, right? Because you're just like, and I think life puts you exactly where you need to be and shuts you down when you're like, I don't know if I want to do this. Well, they're like, okay, then you're not going to do it anymore, right?
Right.
So we're going to show you a new path. So by me going through all that and just healing and getting through all that really let me understand how many people are in this same boat. Mm-hmm. Feeling like what they're doing is something they don't really enjoy as much as they thought they did, but not knowing how to get out or not knowing what it takes to make that next step and start in the other direction.
So how did you make that shift? Because, I mean, that was your sole income, right, for you and your husband, and it just basically went away immediately, right? Because the state wouldn't renew, or you didn't want to renew with him?
Yeah, they would not renew our license. He wanted to renew it. I kind of was just like, I've had enough of just the pitter-patter between them. And, you don't want to run a business. It's almost like being in the corporate world, like they put like a limit on you, you know, in that sense on your potential. And I was like, this is nuts. Like we have so many more opportunities. Like, why are we stuck in this little bubble? Right. So what I did was I just had to we had a nest egg, thank goodness, right? And we pretty much had paid off our house and we didn't have any expenses except for the everyday bills, which was really good. It really helped us. Right. But we just had to redefine who we were as a person. So taking a couple years off, and figuring out what we really wanted to do and to be in our integrity and feel good about what we were doing every day. That was it was hard. I mean, it wasn't easy, because you're doing something every 6 weeks. I mean, it's your whole life, you feel like, and then boom, it just ends. So it's kind of like if you're have a corporate job and you've known that job for 30 years. Hey, I'm training now though. Come on, let's go. Can you promote me? Let's do it in California. Let's go to Vegas. I'm ready. Let's go to Phoenix. We'll go to the desert. We'll just right in the sand. Let's go. Yeah. And I mean, it was amazing the people you met and the opportunities, believe me. And it was right at the moment when it was getting big. So it was definitely amazing. I think my husband was the person that talked to Comcast that was telling them how to get it on TV. Then next thing you know, they start putting on TV, but we weren't doing it anymore, So, right. I mean, literally opportunities were everywhere for us. But I guess, sometimes there's bigger things in your life that are waiting for you. And when that happens, you have to just readjust and, redefine who you are as a person. Right. Yeah. So what did your husband do? Do y'all work together, or did he go do his own thing? He does his own thing. He does more of the financial what's that, stock market type stuff? I don't know. He kind of just calls the advisor and goes over stuff. I stay out of that. He practically just makes sure my son gets the basketball. Let's say that's what he does. Pretty much does that. But for me, I knew I wanted something more. I felt it, and it was kind of calling me, and it just kept saying, the 21st century blueprint. Like, how are people living now? Are they really fully living? Are they really owning their power? Or are they, dimming who they are? Right.
So how come most people, they don't own their power? They're playing small ball. They don't have the vision. They pigeonhole themselves into, it's like, They make a little bit of money, they're comfortable with that amount of money, and then they do everything in their power to make sure they stay within 5% of that range of money. Why is that?
And that comes back to wanting to be exactly what's around you, right? And not hurting anyone else's feelings because you feel like you should be better than them, or that you want to be better than them, or you'll lose your friends, or they won't be there anymore, So some people definitely worry about what other people think about them. And it takes a lot of courage, right, to do something different. Instead of being like everyone else, it's that road of everyone else is doing it, you're in the herd and you're okay, so you're safe, right? But your brain does automatically want to keep you safe, and then that's going to try to trap you into that safe zone. I say definitely that entrepreneurs are people that have this courage to just do it and take the complete action and not even consider what's going to happen, right? Or who they're going to lose, but move forward. So, and being in that safety zone is because your blueprint is like, well, this is what I've been seeing. So I've always done it this way. This is how we've always done it. Right. So why am I changing? And when you're in that mindset, then you don't even have the belief that you can do anything else.
Right. So how do you help people believe? Because you got to believe. Mm-hmm. Right.
Definitely.
And I'm a little torn. I go back and forth with like good old Zig Ziglar, It was like be, do, have, right? You got to be before you do, you got to do before you can have. And I'm a little bit, I see that side, but I'm also a big fan of do, become, have, right? When you do what successful people do, you'll eventually have what successful people have, right? Or you'll become successful and you'll have what they have. So because I see too many people sitting around majoring in the minors, right? Yes. And I'm like, okay, you want to be that person? You want to be, the next Kobe Bryant? Okay, let's go look up his workout routine. Okay, go do this, eat this, lift these weights, go practice 3 hours, a day on this one thing, and then tomorrow 3 hours on the next thing, and do that for 10 years, and you'll be Kobe Bryant, right? And they're like, oh, I don't want to do all of that. I kind of like my Big Macs, and I don't really like lifting weights. Okay, then you're not going to be Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. So how do you find that happy medium between doing and then believing and then doing? You know what I mean? Yes.
So most people, when they say like the bucket's full, right, and you're just piling stuff on and it's just overflowing, you have to make space for what you want, right? If your day is consistently filled up with all of your drama, your complaining, and just you're being totally miserable, if you don't make space for happiness or love, it won't ever come in. So first we find that space, right? Where are you wasting time in your day? What would it look like, your ideal day? And how would that feel for you, right? So put you in a mindset of gratitude and thankfulness of where you are, because these are the choices you've made so far, right?
So what does that mean? Is it as simple as just make up your mind and be happy?
It is as simple as that, but it's a conscious decision, meaning your first immediate thought. So my quiz on my website is like, what would be your first thought? Like, say if you were hungry, what would be the first thing you would think of to go get? Some people go to a drive-through. Some people will grab a banana. Some people will grab frozen food. Some people will go and get an apple, right? Or cook, or grab water, or take a drink of water. So that lets you see where you're subconsciously actions are, because that is what you programmed into your body. You have to initially know what your first instinct is, because that's who you are right now. You have to shift that, which is it takes work. But if you could do that work for 10, 15 minutes a day, you will see a shift in your life. Of you really wanting to be this new person. So happiness, which how I like to tell people, what if you would start your day with I love? Every sentence, I love. I love getting up. I love getting dressed. I love combing my hair. I love driving to work. I love my family. I love my house. I love my car. So we're starting the day and switching from just complaining. When you're in that mindset of love or happiness or gratitude, your mind doesn't even go to the negative side anymore. So what we're doing is just reprogramming a little, but subconsciously helping you understand what it feels like to think differently. Mm-hmm. And just by saying I love instead of saying I hate, you could just feel the drag in your body, right? So
but
we're
what if you really do hate that commute?
So, and this is where you have to trick yourself, obviously. And you would just try to find something that you love you can listen to in your car, or try to have something that you can see on your way that really makes you happy, right? So those little things. And when that negative thought comes in, or that thought of I don't like this, how can you say, okay, so if you're saying I hate this drive, say, but it's not so bad. So we're canceling out that negative thought with a almost positive thought. Right?
I love listening to Kerry Morgan on the Sales Podcast during my commute. So everybody say that to yourself 100 times.
Right? Or great meditation. But here's the thing. No one's taught us this. So when I was growing up, no one taught me, your thoughts become things. And we don't understand that it is that simple, that life is following us. So that means your thoughts, life is catching up to your thoughts. And when you say you're miserable and you jump out of bed, you're miserable, well, you are absolutely going to be miserable. But here's the reality. You made that choice. So it's nobody's fault but you. You
right.
said okay to that job. You said okay to that commute for a reason. So when were you happy in that position? When did you say, I want it and I love this job? When you said yes to it, right? There had to be something, right?
Sure.
So you need to get back to there, back to that space. Come from that space of when you committed to that action you're taking every day that's filling up your space, and figure out why it made you happy, why you took it, right? Because in ultimate, there's no fairy coming down and saying you have to do something. It's the choice and decision that you made. And you can clearly go and change anything that's in your life. So we have to, I make people show up and take accountability for where they are in their life. Because they feel sorry for something that they already said yes to.
Right.
And then from there, we can break down and pull in actionable steps, implementation that is really easy, and it will make mind-blowing results if you do them at the right times of your day and you're committed to it.
Yeah, and it usually is just something little. Huh? I always say small hinges swing big doors.
Yes.
People think they got to make this big dramatic change, and usually it's something small, right? Stop drinking 1 Coke a day. And you'll get in better shape, right?
Or take a walk every day for 10 minutes and see what that does outside for you.
Yeah.
It's like that. And it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And we totally forget that we have an inner conflict. So what that means, I call it spiritual alignment, but it's your mind, body, and your soul. Your soul is your friend. You hear those intuitive or these voices, or just think people like you feel something and you say, oh, I should have done that, or I'm forgetting something for a reason, because they're pushing you in the right direction, right? So I'll give you an example, like people that say they want to lose weight, but then they go out and eat a huge meal and then they feel miserable about it. So if you're in alignment and you said you wanted to lose weight, you'll consciously make a choice to get you in that next step. You would not have an inner conflict and do the complete opposite of what you thought. Right? So that's what people do. They want something. They feel like they want something. They think they want something, but their action is the complete opposite, right, of what they want. So that's when people are like, I'm blocked. I'm self-sabotaging. It's because they're not in alignment.
Right.
When you get into alignment, I hear the thought, I take a complete action right at that moment. I am not thinking about why or how. I take the action, and I get more actionable thoughts and synchronicities, and everything starts to flow, because as I'm getting my downloads of information, I'm taking action on it, and I'm feeling it, and I'm owning it, and I'm loving that process, and I'm staying clear and focused and on the path I want to go forward.
Yeah, that's cool, because it's so we're recording this probably a month before it goes out, but I mean, Lent just started. I'm Catholic, and and it's like you don't have to give up anything. They're like, hey, be a little nicer, go to church a little more, or you can give up something, right? Give up chocolate, give up beer if you like beer. I mean, so I'm giving up desserts. And my wife's a baker. We got 5 daughters, and they bake. I mean, we got cookies, we got muffins, we got chocolate cake, this chocolate Butterfinger cake with Cool Whip. And I realize now, so these past few days, I walk by the kitchen and I'm reaching for a cookie. I'm like, okay, don't eat that cookie. And then I start thinking, man, I've been eating a lot of cookies lately. It's like, do I need all those cookies? So it's like a good thing. Just kind of make up your mind and make it happen, right? So now I get the added benefit of doing jujitsu, and I'm having less calories because I'm not eating all these sweets. And I've lost 6 pounds. Now, I mean, Lent just started, so it's not because of that, but I'm sure maybe half a pound is because I'm not shoving a cookie in my face every time I walk through the kitchen. Just make up your mind. Don't do that one thing, right? Whatever it is, just stop doing that. And then if there's a good thing, maybe on the flip side, right? Go do that.
Yes.
But I guess you help hold people accountable. Is this a 6-week program or a 6-month program, or is it continuous until they feel they've hit their goals, or how do people work with you?
I do a 3-month jump starter program, and I do have a small little course that people could go through. But I feel like the 3 months usually gets people past their drama, right? And if they want to do more, that's fine, because I'm not here to keep you attached to me. Right? I just want to show you the path that you need with the least resistance so that you can totally commit to yourself. And when you do commit to yourself, you find confidence, you find belief, you find your hope, because it's all in there. You just covered it up over those years. So we're just unleashing those results into your life and fully giving you ownership of your life without excuses.
So this 3 months, is it all one-on-one?
Depending if you do the group or you do the one-on-one. Some people may need the one-on-one, but the group session is just, more people are on the call.
Right.
And sometimes that helps people because they say, oh my God, it's not just me, right?
Most I'm not
people
alone.
They mostly, you wouldn't believe that this is the 21st century because people still think that they're all alone and there's no one else out there, but there's so many opportunities now for you to actually change, whether that's wealth, whether that's health, whether that's relationship, whether that's, you want to be a better person, whatever you want, it's right there. And there's really no reason for people to be the way they are if they want to change, There's communities help everywhere around us, more than you can ever imagine.
Why do so many people have to hit rock bottom before they start
That's a good question.
turning back around?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I definitely believe that deals with your worth, right? What people feel about themselves. If you do not feel worthy of really taking and being that best version, then you will keep sabotaging and creating chaos in your life because you don't feel like you're worth that. Whatever it is. It could be the simplest thing. Like people that feel they want to lose weight or people that want to make more money, they don't feel they are worth that next level. maybe somebody said something to them when they were little, or their parents said something or something they don't feel like they're worth. That's why I usually give people the I love, and I tell them to test. I'm not here to, that may not work for you, but we're going to try and we want to see if it works, but I want you to show up in it every day and own it and do the homework. But the I love little simple task is something that is so amazing, because most of our thoughts, we have over 50,000 thoughts a day, something like that. I don't know the general and right number, but most of them are negative towards ourself.
Yep.
And so if you could start saying I love, and what that does is bring the energy or the love back to you, the energy that you're putting out into the world. It's bringing your energy to you. It's supplying you with more energy, or that energy of love. And by just saying that all day and, being connected and owning it and feeling it, it does make a difference. I mean, you definitely, I've had some amazing experiences, but I love for people to try it because it's just so simple, but it does amazing things when you really focus in on it.
Very nice. All right. So one of the last questions I like to ask is, imagine our listeners they're in traffic. They're on a plane, maybe they're jogging, they can't do anything right this second, but as soon as and maybe they can, like with this, maybe you've got some affirmations, but when they get to their desk, when they get to their computer, when they get to a notebook, when they're done jogging or riding a bike, what should they do as a result of listening to this? What should they put into practice right away to make a shift?
Okay, to make a shift. I would say, which I know so many people say, but being consistent and journaling, and if you don't like journaling, I would say record your voice, either of those two things, because at night, the first thing you think of is the thing that you think of all night for the whole 8 hours you're sleeping, or 4 hours, or whatever you get. So you should release anything that was ailing you that whole day. You should definitely not think about the things you don't want in your life anymore. You should write out how you want to feel, what's the next 5 things you need to do the next day, how can you scare yourself, so what opportunities you want to show up for, what do you really want in that next following day? And in the morning, the same thing. Write out something that you're going to take action on that day. Like I said, it could be just one thing, or it could be a recording where you can listen to that later. So it's just not about saying an affirmation in your head. It's about writing it out, but also taking an action on it, right? So I like to tell people, your every day is a gift. How are you going to unpackage your gift today? Mm-hmm. And that makes them really think, oh my God, it's not that miserable day. I have a choice, right? Yeah. I have a choice to do something better. I have a choice to feel a different way. I have a choice to connect on a different level. I have a choice to, be around people that are going to bring me up. Right? So when we start to realize that we are worthy, but also take those actions on, what do I want to think about when I'm sleeping? I want to think about what my ultimate experience on earth is going to be, or my ultimate vision on earth every night before I go to bed, right? Like, I want to feel that space. So that would be the thing I would be writing about, and letting go of the other stuff. So when I sleep, I'm in that energy of what I want to create and not how I want to react to life. Right. Yes.
All right. Is that why William Shatner would always do that? Captain's log, start 812-422. He had to get it off his chest, right?
Yeah, you do. Well, when you have stuff that happens to you and you don't have anyone to talk to about it, or you just think that it has been released, it kind of attaches itself to you. So even though you think the situation's over, you have implanted it into your body and your mind. When you write it out, or you release it, or, let go of it on a physical level, that really clears, right? I like to call it distraction detox a little bit, because you're not caught up in all these little things that happen all day. You completely let them go by saying, I didn't like how this felt. This is gone. This is how I want to feel the next day. And, and it's a big commitment for people to write it out. That's why I said sometimes it's just about putting the record on your phone, which is that easy, talking about the situation, talking out what you want to feel the next day, or what you want to show up in the next day.
All right. Well, I got this app on my phone, and I barely use it, but I do have a reminder every day for me to journal. So I will start journaling more. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good. I actually have these affirmations pop up on my phone. They're not affirmations, but it's just like when instead of you like timing to go and be somewhere, I time myself to be subconsciously worthy, right? So I'll put I am a money magnet or I am sexy or however I want to feel. I make it pop up on my phone. So now I'm subconsciously tapped into how I want to feel and how I want to be in that day. Right? Because even if it's 2 seconds and you look at it, it's not about me reacting. It's about how I'm feeling at that moment and how I want my life to be. Yeah. So yeah, it's huge in you could do these things, like set these things as an automation in like 2 seconds in your phone, right. And they're going to pop up every day.
Well, I got the Apple Watch, and it's got a little breathing thing, so it'll like vibrate on your hand, right? And it's like, cool. Want to breathe? So you can hit a little button, and it'll give you like a minute. You can set the time. It's like a minute, 2 minutes. It's like, breathe.
That is so true. I mean, I have taught yoga, but I did that for a healing thing. But being connected to your breath is one of the most amazing things. And Wes, let me tell you something. That's the only thing you cannot live without, right? You can live without water. You can live without food. You cannot live without your breath. If you learn how to functionally breathe deeper and not like have that panic and anxiety type of concept going all the time with your breath, it's all about the breath. You can get out of a panic attack, which I learned easily how to do when I had one. But anxiety, stress, all that, if you connect to your breath, it makes a huge difference in your reality.
Yep.
Huge.
Well, that's what they always tell me when I'm rolling. Breathe, breathe.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, because what you're doing on the mat is one of the most intense type of MMA, I always said. The ground and pound is, good. The stand on your feet is good. But to submit someone on the ground, it takes a lot of mental strength, right?
Oh, man.
And connection.
Yep. And you got to breathe.
Yep. You should definitely do the yoga. Just Google different breathing techniques. There's about 13 of them out there, and learn. And then every time you go to class, see, okay, so which breathing technique am I going to use today?
Right.
Like how many times am I going to count? How am I going to do that?
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm doing the I just want to live breathing technique. Is that one not good?
That's a good one. That's definitely flight or flight, right? Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Well, we will link to your website, but it is the number 21, right? And then centuryblueprint.com.
Yes.
And you've got a quiz there people can take. And you recommend they start there, right? And they'll start to get some answers for themselves. And then they can connect with you to go even deeper, huh?
Yes, they can definitely set up an appointment there, but the quiz will break down and, ultimately give them a little bit of advice on some tips that they can do through their day.
Right. All right. Very nice. Totally, Kerry Morgan, from New Jersey. Thanks for being on, totally the, Sales Podcast.
You are the man. Thank you, Wes.
All right. Thank you. And you got another appointment, so I will let you roll. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're so welcome. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks.
Silver lining in every storm, huh? Man, lost her business or, decided to give up her business rather than be forced to do something she didn't want to do. Be careful about these all-powerful governments. That's all I'll say about that. But, I love what she talked about, healing herself through reflection, meditation, through yoga, through physical fitness, right? You got to keep going. You got to take care of the body, just like the mind and the soul, okay? Got to take care of yourself. I love the fact that she had a nest egg. Most of the folks I've had on this show, I think back to Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast Answer Man. He had a nest egg. He and his wife lived under their means. They lived within their means. My wife and I have lived within our means. And that gave us the ability to weather the storm. It gave me the flexibility and the options to launch my business, when I got laid off. So you can't be living hand to mouth. build up that nest egg, pay off your highest credit cards first, then pay them all off, get out of the revolving debt, stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, okay? Go build something, build a legacy, invest in yourself, build the assets that will keep on giving, and that's investing in yourself, okay? So Kerry and her husband did that. That gave them the ability to weather that storm and to find their next venture, right? To plot their course. I love the fact she talked about making space for happiness and for love and find time in your day. You don't find time in your day. I would say make the time. I schedule my life. And I tell this to my clients. We cover this in the Make Every Sale course. It's one of the very first lessons in the program. And that is to pay yourself first, both monetarily and with time. Right? I have time booked out in my calendar to go to jiu-jitsu, to go to daily mass, to go to kids' soccer. I have time on the schedule to produce the podcast. Then the rest of my work gets squeezed into the remaining slots instead of the other way around. Most people don't have a schedule at all. You're just living in reactionary mode, and you've got PTSD from being an entrepreneur. Okay, or if you have anything scheduled, it's almost nothing, like make follow-up calls. And so you're just constantly in reaction mode, or you're just begging. You got to make time to create. A business owner's number one job is to market themselves. Are you taking the time to create the content to market yourself? I always say people don't do business with you for one of two reasons. Either they've never heard of you or they have. So if you got a crappy service, fix it. But most of you have great service. People just don't hear about you because you're not tooting your own horn. You got to take the time to toot your own horn. Okay? She said, show up and take accountability. Life catches up to your thoughts. So what are you thinking? What are you filling your heads with? If you're listening to this podcast all the way to the very end, then, hey, you're filling your head with some good stuff, positive stuff, motivational, inspirational stuff. But what do you do when the podcast ends? What action do you take? It's not enough just to listen. I need you taking action. So find out what that is. Do you need help with CRMs and systems? Do you need help with sales training? Do you need help with hiring? Do you need help with marketing? Do you need help with operations or HR or finance? Find the people that can help you get the help and get it done. Okay? If it's sales help you need, come on over. MakeEverySale.com. Come hang out with us every day, every week. Let's get it done. All right? I was put on this earth to be a salesman. I was put on this earth to be a trainer. I was put on the earth to create the Sales Whisperer. You know, I bought that domain September 1st, 2006, and I ain't looking back. It's onward and upward, up and to the right. And I hope you join me along the journey, and I hope I can help you create the same growth. MakeEverySale.com. Please share this, leave a 5-star review, and as always, remember to sell different.